What's the good word, y'all? Welcome to the New York Jets Syndicate channel. It's your boy DKB here, and there was a segment from a Peter King interview with Eric Allen of the New York Jets, and he spoke briefly about the opportunity that Zach Wilson had ahead of him, and we'll cover this a little bit. It's pretty brief, but it raised the question for me: can Zach Wilson become the New York Jets version of Jordan Love? So. Peter King, during this interview, they covered a lot of stuff, but when it came to Zach Wilson, without being, without the question being raised to him in any facet, he brought up that Zach Wilson right now, whether it's over this 1 year, whether it's over these 2 years, he has the opportunity to finally sit down, really hone his craft, work on his, post snap reads, all of these different elements of being a quarterback. But you get to do this behind a guy that you've idolized your entire career in Aaron Rodgers, ideally, if the trade gets done. And so he really needs to attach himself to the hip, hunker down, and really fine tune his skill set. This is something he hasn't had the luxury of. You think about Jordan Love, former first round 2020 draft class pick, I believe, and he's been able to sit 3 years behind Aaron Rodgers. Now, maybe there were some tensions. I don't know how involved Aaron Rodgers would have been in making sure he's developed, but you've literally had 3 years without having to necessarily have any crazy media attention on you or questions about why you aren't a capable starter yet, because you have a Hall of Famer in front of you. So, not to say it's been easy, easy street for Jordan Love by any means, but he's had one of the best situations a quarterback can have coming into the league. You take a look at Zach Wilson and, Woody Johnson and company essentially handed him the keys to the entire franchise right away. And the weight of everything, as normal, has crushed plenty of quarterbacks of his build and lesser. So we've seen the destruction of Zach Wilson within a short 2 seasons. We're talking 22 games, I believe he's played. So not even a full 2 seasons worth of games with some of the injuries and things he's had come up. But he's now in a situation where he can kind of play a Jordan Love role, as Peter King mentioned. And one of the things he has going for him that maybe Jordan Love didn't have going is the fact that Aaron Rodgers seems to already have a very good rapport with Zach Wilson. And he put it in a manner that I like, that he may be more forthcoming and willing to be involved in Zach Wilson's development, especially when you think about like the preseason and all-season activities, which Aaron Rodgers generally doesn't get involved in. Maybe he'll be there for the development of what, seems like a kind of father-son relationship. And Zach Wilson should essentially be tied to his hip during this entire time, right? You maybe have 1 or 2 years, assuming we get Aaron Rodgers in the building, in order to finally just relax and not have the pressure on you. You finally kind of get that, Jordan Love safety bubble where it's not a question of why can't you beat out this backup. You have a Hall of Famer in front of you. So unless Aaron Rodgers completely falls apart, there's not going to be a question of why Zach Wilson isn't seeing the field over this next year or two, unless injuries come up. And then you take a look at Chris Trevor or any other quarterback that we bring in. But Zach Wilson is set up to potentially have that success that we're hoping he can achieve. And, there's a lot of theories, a lot of different things you could put out there about how to best develop a quarterback. But 9 times out of 10, especially when you take a look at like Zach Wilson coming out of BYU, not an SEC league, he's not facing supreme NFL level talent that are coming in and week out. And you only have the one excellent season during a COVID year where you really haven't played anybody solid as well. So, you can't even claim like a Joe Burrows type comparison there. You want to sit. You want to not have to have all that heat and pressure on you. And so he tried to carry things well for a while. Things eventually ended up, falling to pieces a bit for him. But I am generally excited about this opportunity. Until Peter King mentioned it, I didn't necessarily think about it from that perspective. That we essentially have a Jordan Love on our hands here. I mean, even if we added a quarterback in this draft to the picture, it's essentially the same thing for everybody. You have a year or two behind a Hall of Famer to go out there and put all of these physical tools on display and figure out how to hone that in. And a lot of people already made a lot of comparisons between Zach Wilson and Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes game level wise. And even Patrick Mahomes, if you want to take it there, I don't think Zach Wilson hits anywhere near that ceiling just based on what we've seen so far. But he had a full year behind Andy Reid to go ahead and develop and figure out what he wanted to do. I still remember, flashes of videos from like Tyreek Hill saying when they seen Patrick Mahomes originally come into camp, they figured they wasted a first round pick. So, who knows? I still have high belief we can turn around Nathaniel Hackett. All I keep hearing about is how great of a teacher he is, the ease of him being able to break down concepts for his players, and all of these different facets. And then you tie in Aaron Rodgers, who has a supreme offensive mind in and of itself. This is going to be the best situation Zach Wilson's looking at. If he's going to be savable, if we can rectify this project for us, not only is this a huge knot in Joe Douglas's and Robert Saleh's belt, but it will essentially save what could have been two bad draft classes in 2020 and then 2021. When you take a look at like Mekhi Becton, Zach Wilson, Denzel Mims, Elijah Moore, all of these guys that are kind of slowly falling off just because of how the progression of Zach Wilson has went. So I don't know. Let me know your guys' thoughts. If you checked out the Peter King interview, let me know what you thought about it. How likely do you think it is that Zach Wilson would be able to pull this off? It'll be interesting this season looking at Jordan Love, by the way, because we'll see how well he'll be able to go out there and perform after having 3 seasons to really go and do his thing. But again, let me know your thoughts, and I'll catch you guys again. Peace.